Let's face it, there's nothing more frustrating than dealing with a woman who doesn't seem to care. You're giving your energy, your time, even showing your best self. And what do you get in return? Silence, indifference, cold reactions. In the modern dating world, it's brutal because attention is cheap and interest is short-lived. Women are surrounded by options, so how do you stand out? How do you get her to miss you even when she acts like you don't exist? Here's the truth most men never hear. You don't make a woman miss you by doing more. You make her miss you by becoming someone worth missing, and by pulling back at the right time. It's not about chasing, convincing, or trying harder. That's weak energy. That's what 95% of men do. And it pushes her further away. You want to be in the 5% who understand how desire works. If a woman isn't interested, it means she doesn't feel emotionally pulled towards you yet. That's not your cue to overcompensate. It's your cue to flip the game. You want her to think about you when you're not around. Replay conversations, stalk your social media in silence, and start to wonder, why do I keep thinking about him? That's how emotional hooks are planted. In this video, I'll give you 7 clear psychological and strategic steps that will flip the script. Steps that don't require begging, chasing, or pretending. These are tactics that work even when she's not into you, because they put the power back in your hands. Get ready to change how you move. This isn't about manipulation. It's about understanding what creates value, desire, and mystery in a man. Don't try to impress her. The first mistake most men make with a woman who isn't showing interest is this. They go into impress mode. They start trying too hard. They flex their job, their car, their body, their lifestyle, all in hopes that she'll finally look their way and say, wow, maybe I overlooked him. But here's the truth. That's not how desire works. Trying to impress a woman who's not interested will only reinforce one thing in her mind, that you're beneath her, that you feel the need to prove your worth to her. And once she senses that energy, it's over. She may smile, she may act nice, but deep down she already knows this guy is too eager. And nothing dries up attraction faster than a man trying too hard. You want to make a woman miss you. You don't do it by putting on a show. You do it by being centered, calm, detached. You don't give her your resume. You give her presence. You show up as yourself without the hunger to win her approval. Because here's what women are drawn to. The man who doesn't need them to feel valuable. Women are naturally curious about the man who seems self-contained, not constantly trying to win them over. If she senses that your self-worth depends on how she responds to you, she will never miss you. Because there's no mystery, no confidence, no emotional tension when a woman isn't interested in you. Your power lies in not reacting. Most men get emotional. They change how they talk. They overanalyze everything she says. They ask mutual friends for advice, and worse, they start giving her more attention, more compliments, and more access. But attention is not value. If you give too much of it, you become disposable, you become noise, and you will never be missed. If you're always available, instead, show restraint. If she sends a dry text, don't double text. If she ignores your message, don't follow up. If she seems indifferent in person, keep it light and then excuse yourself. That's strength. That's the kind of move that makes her stop and think. Why didn't he try harder? Why didn't he seek validation? Is he not affected? That's when she begins to question her perception of you, and that is when the seed of curiosity is planted. A woman will never miss a man who acts like every other guy she's met. She will never miss the man who performs for her, but she will absolutely think about the man who shows up with value and then walks away without fear. You don't make her miss you by proving how good you are. You make her miss you by not needing to prove it at all. Become a man of mystery. If you want to make a woman miss you, especially one who isn't showing interest, you have to become unpredictable. You have to make her wonder. Curiosity is the beginning of attraction and mystery. That's the fuel that keeps it burning. The problem is, most men lay all their cards on the table too early. They talk too much. They overshare their feelings, their intentions, their plans. They try to connect quickly, thinking honesty and openness will buy them affection. But what actually happens is the opposite. The woman figures him out too fast. She boxes him up, labels him, and tosses him in the mental friend zone, or worse, the category of one of those thirsty guys. There's no chase, no curiosity, no edge. She knows what he wants, and that predictability kills any desire to even think about him. Later, what women truly crave is emotional tension, and you create that by not being fully accessible, not in a rude or manipulative way, but in a way that makes her feel like there's something beneath the surface she hasn't figured out yet. She has to sense that there's more to you than what you've shown. That maybe, just maybe, she's missing out on something if she doesn't pay closer attention. When she doesn't know everything about your life, your mindset, your intentions, she starts filling in the blanks on her own. She starts imagining. She starts wondering what makes you tick. That's how she starts mentally and emotionally investing. A man of mystery is a man who keeps a woman's mind working even when he's not around. And the moment a woman starts thinking about you and your absence, she's already beginning to miss you. This doesn't mean you play games. It means you stop handing out free emotional access. You don't tell her your whole life story in a week. You don't explain every emotion you feel. You don't let her know exactly where she stands with you every second. Instead, you let her experience you in pieces. You speak with purpose. You listen more than you talk. And you move like someone who knows he's the prize. Because you are. If she asks you what you're doing later, keep it vague. If she wonders why you're not always available to reply or call, let her sit. With that, you're building something far more powerful than instant attention. You're building space for imagination. Here's the truth. Women don't miss men. They fully understand. They miss the ones who made them curious, the ones who didn't oversell themselves, the ones who made them feel something without always spelling it out. That's how you draw her in without even trying. That's how you get in her head, even if she never saw you coming. And once she starts thinking about you when you're not around, interest begins to replace indifference. Master the art of disappearing. If you want a woman to miss you, especially one who isn't showing any interest, you have to learn one of the most powerful tactics a man can use in modern dating: silence. Disappearing is not about ghosting. It's not about punishing or avoiding. It's about stepping back with purpose. It's about removing your presence in a world where women are used to constant validation, constant messaging, and constant male attention. When you disappear, not out of anger, but out of self-respect, it sends a message that speaks louder than any words. I do not chase what does not choose me. Most men fear disappearing because they think it's the end. They assume if they don't stay in her face, if they don't check in, call, or send that next text, she'll forget about them. But what you don't realize is this: when you're always present, you give her no space to feel your absence. Think about that. When you're always around, she never has to wonder where you went, what you're doing, or why you've gone quiet. She's never given the opportunity to feel the lack of you. And until a woman feels the lack of your presence, she'll never miss you. She'll never value your energy. Disappearing is a psychological reset. It's you breaking the rhythm. If you've been engaging, initiating, or even just subtly making yourself known, stop. Pull all of it back quietly. No announcement, no drama, no emotional explanation. You simply step back into your life, your goals, your mission, and let her sit in the silence. This silence forces her to confront something real, the space you once filled. And here's the catch: if she wasn't interested in you before, the silence might be the only thing that triggers a shift. Why? Because people only start to appreciate consistency once it's gone. And if you've been showing up regularly, your absence becomes the contrast. Now understand, this tactic only works if you've already shown enough value for her to remember. If you are clingy, desperate, or overly available, your silence may feel like a relief to her. But if you were calm, composed, respectful, and intriguing, that silence becomes a question mark in her mind. Why did he pull back? Did he lose interest? Is he seeing someone else? These thoughts are emotional triggers, and emotional triggers lead to curiosity. Curiosity leads to checking your social media, asking about you, and eventually missing your energy. The key to disappearing is to do it from a place of strength, not revenge. You don't vanish hoping she chases you. You vanish because you refuse to keep watering a dead plant. You move like a man who values his presence, who's aware of his worth, and who won't force connection where there's none. And that's the kind of energy women remember. That's the kind of man who makes them second-guess their indifference. Let her hear about you, not from you. If you want to make a woman miss you, especially one who doesn't seem interested, stop forcing direct communication. Instead, let her hear about you indirectly. Let your presence be felt without you physically showing up. Most men don't understand the power of indirect influence. They think the only way to win her attention is through a direct message, a call, or a clever comment on her post. But that's not how lasting desire is built. A man who knows how to make a woman miss him understands the power of perception. And that perception doesn't always come from his voice. It often comes from the whispers in the background. Let's say you've already stepped back. You've gone silent. You've mastered the art of disappearing. What now? This is where your next move separates you from the average man, while you remain quiet. You let your life speak for you. You don't have to tell her what you're doing. You let her hear about it from the world around you. You update your life, not for her, but because you're building something solid. You post that new project, that trip, that dinner with friends, not with the goal of showing off, but to communicate one powerful truth. You are living. What happens is this word spreads. Social media tells stories. Mutual friends talk. Maybe she sees a photo. Maybe she hears your name pop up. Maybe someone mentions you casually, and suddenly she's reminded of your existence. But this time without effort from you. This is powerful, because now, her thoughts are being triggered not by you pushing yourself into her space, but by her environment bringing you back into her awareness. It creates a subtle curiosity that feels more organic, less intrusive. It plants the idea that you're still around, still doing well, and still moving forward without needing her to validate it. This strategy is especially effective because it flips the narrative. She may not have been interested before, but now she's starting to see you differently. You're not chasing. You're not begging for a response. You're not explaining yourself. You've become the man who doesn't need attention. And that, in today's attention-hungry world, is rare. And rare is always attractive. Think about the emotional effect of this. She sees you smiling, connecting, growing, and she wasn't a part of it. That realization creates a gap, a mental and emotional gap. She starts to question, did I miss something? Was I too quick to judge? Why is he still on my mind when I never even gave him a chance? That's where the shift begins. The key here is subtlety. You don't go loud. You don't send messages indirectly aimed at her. You just live in a way that reflects growth, self-respect, and progress. And in doing so, you allow her to rediscover you without ever having to reintroduce yourself. That's how you let her miss you, even if she wasn't interested to begin with. Build a life she can't ignore. There's something undeniably attractive about a man who is fully immersed in his own purpose. When a woman sees a man building a life so complete, so full, and so compelling that it doesn't revolve around anyone else's approval, she pays attention, even if she didn't at first. If you want to make a woman miss you, especially when she wasn't interested from the beginning, the most powerful move you can make is to level up your life in such a way that her absence doesn't slow you down, it accelerates you. A lot of men make the mistake of stopping their progress when a woman ignores them. They sit in self-pity, they go into isolation, they keep refreshing their phones, waiting for a message that may never come. That's wasted energy. The truth is, silence from a woman isn't the end of the world. It's a signal to shift your focus inward. This is where you make the decision to either stay the same or become someone she can no longer overlook. You build a life she can't ignore by becoming a man who is hard to reach, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. That means you stop living on autopilot. You stop scrolling through life. You start creating. You go to the gym to impress her, but to respect your body. You study something new to flex intelligence, but to grow. You get serious about your career or your hustle, not because you want to post about it, but because your future deserves it. And when you do this consistently, your energy changes, your posture changes, your confidence becomes unshakable, because it's not tied to who texts you back. It's tied to the man you're becoming. Women notice this shift. They may not say it out loud, but they feel it. They feel it when they run into you again, and your energy has leveled up. They feel it when they see your name come up, and it reminds them of how far you've come since the last time they looked your way. A woman who wasn't interested before starts to take second looks at a man who didn't crumble without her. She begins to feel something: respect. And respect is the foundation for attraction. When you focus on your life, everything about you becomes more attractive. Your time becomes more valuable. Your words carry more weight. Your presence demands more attention. And even if she doesn't say it, she starts watching me not publicly, but in silence. She checks your stories. She asks around. She starts looking for signs that you've moved on. And when she realizes you truly have, that's when the emotional impact hits her. That's when she begins to miss you. Not because you begged for it, but because you've become a man whose life now speaks louder than any message you could send. Make her question her value in your life. Most men don't realize it, but one of the most powerful ways to make a woman miss you, especially one who wasn't interested in the first place, is to subtly make her question her own importance in your life. When she assumes she holds a certain level of influence over you, and suddenly that influence disappears or becomes uncertain, it triggers a form of internal tension that sticks in her mind. That tension is where missing you begins. You see, modern dating has given a lot of women a false sense of control, with men constantly throwing attention, compliments, likes, and validation their way. Many women come to believe that men will always orbit them. So when she sees that you're not chasing her like the others, when you're not acting emotionally tied to her every move, it messes with her perception. You're not responding to her the way she's used to. You're not offering that constant reassurance or making her feel like she's the center of your world. And here's where the shift happens. She starts to ask herself questions she didn't expect to. Was I wrong about him? Did he like me at all? Why doesn't he care like I thought he would? These questions aren't just casual. They're emotional hooks. They create space in her mind where uncertainty lives, and uncertainty breeds curiosity. Once curiosity sets in, her thoughts begin to circle back to you, even if she tried to overlook you before. That curiosity makes her pay attention. It makes her revisit your interactions. She replays your conversations. She reads between the lines. She watches your actions now and compares them to how you were before. If you play it right, this contrast creates a psychological imbalance that makes her want to understand where she stands with you. Here's the key. You don't create this effect by being disrespectful or cold. You do it by being balanced. You show her that she's not the center of your universe. You don't treat her badly, but you also don't treat her like she's your only option. You remain cordial, calm, and occasionally distant. If you see her, you're polite, but not overly enthusiastic. If she texts you, you might respond, but not instantly, and not always with deep energy. You move as though her presence in your life is welcome, but not essential. And that attitude alone is incredibly powerful. When a woman feels too secure in your attention, she takes it for granted. But when she starts to question her role in your life, she becomes emotionally engaged, even if she wasn't interested before. That subtle tension, that uncertainty, that shift in power, all makes her reflect. It makes her notice the difference between how you once acted and how you act now. And in that space of reflection, missing you begins. Because now she's not sure where she stands. And every woman wants to feel valued. When you make her question that value, she'll start thinking about you more than you realize. Never show you care more. If you want to make a woman miss you, even one who showed zero interest from the start, there is one principle you must never break. Never let it seem like you care more than she does. It's not about being cold. It's not about pretending to be heartless. It's about maintaining your emotional balance and refusing to let your desire override your dignity. This is where most men fail. They allow their emotions to lead, and they start acting as if her attention is the ultimate prize. But here's the hard truth. Once a woman senses that you care more than she does, the game is over. She will never miss you because she knows you never left emotionally. You were always waiting, always hoping, always available. Think of attraction as a scale. The moment it tips too far in your direction, where she knows you're willing to give everything, chase endlessly, forgive anything, and show up, even when you're not wanted. She mentally checks out. Women want to feel chosen. Yes. But they don't want to feel worshipped by someone they're not even sure they like yet. That dynamic makes you look desperate. It makes her feel like the only one with options, and when a woman feels like she has all the power, she rarely sees the man across from her as a challenge worth thinking about. To flip this, you need to pull back emotionally. That means not reacting when she ignores you. It means not jumping in with compliments every time she posts a new photo. It means not letting her know that you've been waiting for a sign from her. When you speak, speak with confidence, not with the tone that begs for validation. When you engage, do so from a place of choice, not from hunger. A woman should never feel like your happiness depends on her interest. That's too much pressure, and it repels her. Instead, operate with quiet strength. Let your actions show that you're emotionally secure, regardless of her behavior. If she gives you attention, receive it with appreciation, not obsession. If she doesn't, you don't flinch. You continue with your life. You maintain your energy. And you make it clear without ever saying it that your world doesn't revolve around her. That's the attitude that gets under her skin. That's the mindset that separates you from every other man who is too eager, too emotionally available, too transparent with his feelings before he ever knew if she earned them. Remember this: women miss the men who seem just out of reach. They don't miss the ones who are always waiting in the shadows, ready to serve the moment. She senses that you're perfectly fine whether she's in your life or not. Her ego feels the hit. Her mind starts to drift. She wonders if she misjudged you, overlooked something valuable, or lost the chance to have something real. That's when missing you becomes real. And it all starts when you stop caring more than she does. Making a woman miss you, especially one who showed no interest, starts with removing your focus from her and placing it fully on yourself. You don't beg, chase, or convince. You pull back, upgrade your life, and let her feel your absence. You become the man she didn't see coming, but can't stop thinking about. Silence, mystery, and emotional control are your sharpest tools. When you stop proving your worth and start owning it, her curiosity kicks in. And in that curiosity, she starts to miss you. Not because you tried harder, but because you walked away with power. That's how men win.